Secretary Mnuchin, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, at least 3.3 million small businesses have closed, 441,000 of which are Black-owned small businesses, and 657,000 which are Latino-owned businesses. 1.1 million state and local employees have lost their jobs, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You don't dispute those figures, is that fair to say?
I don't have them in front of me, but I have no reason to dispute them. I assume you're quoting them accurately.
So how many more small businesses do you project will permanently shutter after you end the CARES Act lending facilities? How many more state and local employees will be laid off as a result of your decision?
Again, let me be clear, Mr. Senator. My decision is a legal decision, not an economic decision. Congress can reauthorize this money if you want to extend it. But I think those small businesses need grants. They don't need loans. They can't qualify for Main Street. That's why Main Street did only $10 billion, and they need PPP money.
Well, let me just say that you cited earlier in response to, I believe, the chairman's questions, Section 4029 of the CARES Act as the reason that you had to close down these facilities. What is wrong with that recitation is that this provision applies to Treasury's authority to invest in new Fed facilities, and not the ability of those facilities to make loans to companies in the real economy. So while I may agree with you on grants, in the interim, we need to use every tool we have. No one will be better off after you end the CARES Act facilities. As we enter a third wave of COVID, I think ending these facilities is not mandated by law. It's important as an economic backstop. It will have real and harmful consequences on our recovery, on our businesses, on American workers. During your previous appearances before the committee, not a single member, we went through the records, even suggested that you should close the facilities. In fact, most of us on both sides of the aisle, Chairman Crapo, Senator Brown, Senator Tillis, myself, and others have been urging you to make changes to the facilities so that they could provide more relief to businesses and state and local governments. As a matter of fact, in October, in response to questions from the Congressional Oversight Commission, you didn't say that the CARES Act legally required you to end the facilities. You just said you didn't think that they were needed. So, Mr. Chairman, I asked the Treasury Department's responses to the Congressional Oversight Commission dated October 16th be entered into the record.
Without objection.
So there is a choice here. And unfortunately, the choice you're making is really consequential to businesses, to people, to our recovery. Mr. Secretary, last Tuesday, a Treasury Department spokesperson said that you plan to put the $429 billion you're withdrawing from the Fed's lending facilities into the Treasury's general fund. Is that a correct statement?
Again, let me just first comment on the first part. I don't agree with your reading, okay? I believe that the section applied to direct and indirect, and had you thought it applied otherwise, there would be a loophole and there would be no point of having the date. I was never asked about the December 31st date, and I always assumed that if Congress wanted to extend that, they can. Now, as regards to the proceeds, let me direct you, Section 4003, which talks about the deposits of proceeds. Again, it is my intent to completely follow the law, and the law requires the amounts transferred to go to the financing account and then to repay any money lent to Treasury. So again, we will completely follow the law. This is not discretionary. Again, I urge Congress, if you want to extend this, bring back legislation which would authorize me to do it.
You can keep putting the onus on Congress when, in fact, you have the abilities. Let me read to you Section 4027 of the CARES Act that provides Treasury with the appropriation of these funds, quote, to January 1st, 2026, any funds described in paragraph 1 that are remaining shall then be transferred to the general fund of the Treasury. It doesn't say by or no later than January 1st, 2026. So these funds being moved ultimately undermines. I hope, Chairman Powell, that you will commit to not return any funds to the Treasury until we are assured that Congress and the public that those funds will remain in the Exchange Stabilization Fund as required by the CARES Act.
Just for the record, they don't go back into the Exchange Stabilization Fund as I cited in the act.